Hello, Facebook Live yogis. Can you see me? Can you hear me? Hey, Em. How's it going? Sound okay? You send me a little chat. This is so cool. Yay! All right, we're gonna wait a few minutes and see who joins. So far, I see M is watching. Can you see anyone else on your end? And maybe I'm just not. Only if they comment. Okay. Awesome. Talk to me. Yoga babes, how you doing? How have you been feeling? I'm missing our time together in person, but I'm super excited for this yin sequence we get to share today. It's going to be about 40-ish, 45 minutes. I was going to check the time, but it's on my phone. Let's see. Oh. Right back. Always amazed when technology works with me. So, whoever's out there, we still have a couple minutes before we're going to officially get started, but I'll kind of give you a heads up, and I'll catch everyone else up when they've joined in when we officially start. But this sequence today is going to be a journey from the base of the body, or the root, up to the crown. And there's no previous yoga experience required. You don't have to know anything about chakra philosophy or the energy centers in your body to benefit fully from this practice. But it would help me to know if there are areas that are especially tense or tight, and you might start thinking about how your feet and low back feel, and kind of just trace up. And let me know if there's areas where we should spend extra time together today, because then I can kind of moderate my pace accordingly. Any areas that are tense or tight. And this is what I would ask if we were practicing together in person, especially since I can't see you. It's really helpful for me to hear anything going on I should know about. Injuries, complexities. It's okay if you're not sure yet. Sometimes I don't know until I get moving. Hi everyone, just tuning in. I'm Caryn. We're going to get started in about a minute. And I'm taking requests if there's anything specifically tense or tight in the body. I would love, love, love to know. Shoulder and thoracic mobility, yeah. Thanks, Josh. Next minute or so, taking final requests. I have a sequence prepared, but I can moderate my pacing, and I can always add in things. All right, thanks for tuning in, yogis. If I get the go-ahead from M, we're going to get started. Em, is it okay if we get going? Have I waited long enough? All right, maybe he stepped away. My tech guy is tuning in sporadically. We're setting daily intentions. That's awesome, Ben. Absolutely. Yeah, I find especially now, like, it's really nice to have rituals and some semblance of a routine. I love that. Okay, I'm making an executive decision and we're going for it. So we're gonna start our yin practice together. I'm Caryn. I'm so glad to be able to share this sequence with you today. And normally I teach at Movement Baker and Movement RiNo. I teach yin and vinyasa. Today's practice is yin. I'll speak just briefly to props because these are always optional, but there are a few that you might find extra useful. So I have a mat. It's not necessary. If you have a mat, great. Don't worry if you don't have a mat. You can practice on your carpet, your floor, whatever works. I have a yoga block. I'm not going to cue specifically to it as a requirement, but if you have a yoga block or a stack of books you could substitute, these work great. I have a blanket, and if you have a spare blanket or two lying around, awesome. No worries if not. I also have just a couple thin cushions. I got these off my deck. You could use bed cushions, sofa cushions. These are nice to have for padding. Also not required. And we'll find seated to begin. I will suggest kneeling. Do it if you can, skip it if not. Add any props you need for stability and comfort. And as soon as you can, rest the hands. Get out any little wiggles or fidgets. And upright your torso, a couple open mouth exhalations. Breathe in deeply, take in more oxygen. Open mouth, audible exhale. No one can hear you, so feel free to get vocal. Couple breaths in and out through the nose. Try that. And now just your natural intuitive breath. For some of you that's in through the nose and out through the nose. You might like open mouth exhales, more cooling. And there's no wrong way to do this. So breathe in the way that comes naturally without too much strain. And bring awareness to the base of your spine, your tailbone and your legs. Feel into the feet. As you continue to breathe normally, you might think about breathing in from the nose to the tail, all the way down to the feet, and exhale in your way. Inhale from the nose to the tailbone to the feet. Easy exhalations. And keep going in this manner for a short period of silence. Connecting here with a quality of rooting or grounding, a sense that you're stable and supported. You stabilize by feeling the earth, connecting your breath to your base or root. You might also choose to invite a personal intention. And personal intention can be super grounding. It's also a way to make this practice not just routine, but ritual. It can be as simple as a word or a mantra. Maybe a vision, something that conjures the essence of springtime for you. And know that you can come back to this specific intention anytime during practice. A couple more breaths here. Eyes open, table pose, all fours. Come to your hands and your knees. Bring your thighs and your arms perpendicular to the ground. And now point your feet, as long as that's available, not too much strain, the shoelace sides of the feet down. So you should feel some strength or tone in the arches and some stretch in the front of your ankles and your toes. Exhale together. As you inhale, cow pose. Keep the feet pointed. Slide your chin up the front wall and soften the belly. Big stretch there. Exhale, flex your feet. Before you do anything, flex the feet. And now round, lower back, middle back, upper back. This is cat, and we'll go between the two. Point the toes. Inhale, cow pose. Let the action start in the feet today. Flex and curl, cat. Continue here. If you find, guys, that you're always pointing one foot first or flexing one foot first, try either pointing and flexing simultaneously or simply starting that action on the less dominant side. So in other words, reverse the foot that you start the movement with. And like 2 more rounds of cow, cat, or anything else that's calling to you here. For the next couple minutes, you have options. Option 1 is toes pose. The feet are flexed, hips to the heels or block. This one can be strenuous. It might not be the best option if you're getting over a foot or ankle injury. I'll show you some other alternatives. This one, great for some of us. For those that prefer to skip it, you can try kneeling or come back to basics in a standing forward bend, which we call in Yin dangling pose. So you've been doing this since you were a little kid, and you played that game head, shoulders, knees, and toes. And either one of these 3 postures will connect you to your root, to your base. Can you spread the toes a little bit wider? See how it feels to focus on your exhalations? And allow your gaze to soften. Eyes closed may be helpful, it's never required. But if you find yourself easily distracted, or maybe there's stuff going on around you, closing the eyes may help you to concentrate more on your internal experience and what's happening right now on your mat. Taking breaks anytime you need. Those of you in the standing forward bend, dangling, might sway the head, yes, and shake the head, no. You might try neck traction. If you're upside down, hands to base of skull, fingers interlace. And those of us in seated or in toes pose, I want you to think about lengthening from the base of the spine all the way up. I think of toes pose as a tough love pose. I never want to do it, but I have to do it. And it's so true that the things we tend to avoid, not just on the mat, but the things we tend to avoid in our lives have the most to teach us, can offer profound growth, learning, strength, So this toes pose is going to help with circulation in your feet and your ankles, and it will also promote flexibility and mobility in the joints. Let's stay for like 4 more breaths, wherever you are. And we'll meet back in tabletop. Now, some of us are going to have to patter the feet out. The shoelace sides of the feet down, a little patter. Sounds like rainfall, springtime rain. Might get some today here in Denver. Let's take a few more moments. Meet me back in seated. Excellent chance for a hydration break. And I'm going to find some type of padding to help with an upright posture. I'm going to opt for my folded blanket and just sit right on its edge. What happens when I do that is that my hips lift, they elevate relative to my knees. The hips lift higher than the knees, or at least level with the knees. And then not only am I able to sit up long and tall with greater ease, but there's, I find, less congestion in the upper thighs at the hip creases. And we're bringing awareness to the hip region, or the sacral chakra. This energy center is connected to your desire and creativity. Butterfly, bring the soles of your feet together, knees apart. Some may like padding under the outer knees or thighs. Take a moment to grab any support that you need. You're making a diamond shape with the legs. Re-lengthen from the base of your spine. Inhale, look forward, and on an exhale, an option to walk the hands forward, but not so much that it strains your joints. Breathe here. Breathe in a way that is grounding and calming. It may be helpful to accentuate the exhalations. My friends who didn't get enough footwork so far, you can try zippering the toes. As long as they're in reach, it's available to you. And you'll essentially zipper, big toe over big toe, second toe over second toe, third toe over third toe, and so on. Just like a zipper with the toes. And I know the little toes can be kind of tricky or feisty, so just do the best you can. There we go. Yeah. If there's something I don't cue, but you crave, especially in this posture, where we're bringing focus to desire and creativity, please remember you have autonomy in your practice. You can self-direct and allow your body to guide you into the areas that feel most nourishing, into the shapes or variation of shapes that feel most therapeutic. You might explore the right hip for a few breaths and just tune into any sensations you can detect in that right hip, the inner hip and the outer, the hip flexors. And do the same thing on the second side, tuning in and seeing how the two sides compare. One is not necessarily better or worse, but they're very likely different. And that could have to do with your anatomy, more likely the different ways in which you habitually use the two sides of the body. We'll stay about another minute here in butterfly. those toes zippered, you might want to re-zipper them the other way. I should have cued that a little bit earlier. Apologies. You might have had enough of the zipper lock though, so you can definitely save that for another time as well. Hi, Jamie Diaz. I just saw you joined. How about 4 more breaths here in butterfly. And if you need more time, please indulge. When you're ready to exit, arms support. Micro tuck your chin and walk your hands in. Roll up like you're dripping down. Element that correlates with the hip region is water. Next, we'll stand the feet about as wide as the hips. Bring the finger pads down for extra support. Feel free to remove whatever you might be sitting on and sway your knees from side to side several times without rushing. Think of this as a breathing exercise, guys. Now as your knees go one direction, can you look to the other? Inhale, center, and exhale, switch. And the next time you sway your knees to the left, you'll somewhat keep that sway. Next time your knees sway to the right, you'll kind of keep that sway to the right. Bring the left knee back a bit and the right shin forward. So the right shin more or less parallel to the front of your space. You can have the front heel connected with the back thigh. You can also opt to create space between your front heel and your back thigh. Some of us will like a little bit of cushion here. Exhale together. From the hips up, lengthen. And as you exhale, little twist toward the right thigh. You can fold if it's calling to you, but it's not required. And this might be the point where I grab some props, like a block for my hands. I might eventually use a prop for my elbows, chest, or forehead. Some of us are going to twist a little more deeply over the right thigh. So just find a boundary that you can breathe into normally. Avoid straining to the point where breath becomes disrupted or inconsistent. And so still targeting the sacral chakra here in the hips. Also adding a little touch into the third energy center, the solar plexus. The color is yellow. You can identify the solar plexus by becoming aware of the region below your rib cage, above your navel. This is your center of personal empowerment and will. The ability to choose a path, even pick a yoga practice for your day, and then follow through. It's your get up and go. And stay for like 4 more breaths on this first side. And before you exit, bring the hands down low. Tone the belly a little. Lift the chest and head. Keep your weight to the right so you can more easily bring the left leg around. We're switching sides. Deer pose with the left shin more or less parallel to the top of your space. The left heel might connect with the right knee, but it's not required. And a reminder, you can add any padding under the seat. It feels more stabilizing and helpful for your root. Inhale, lengthen from the tailbone up. And exhale, micro twist to the left. Reminder, this does not have to be your deepest twist of all time. You can stay up on the hands the whole time. If the floor feels too far away, grab a prop, something you can lean into. If it calls to you, you might start to walk the hands forward and lower the torso more downward toward the earth. You decide how deeply you're twisting. You create the shape. And once you're in the shape, you let the yoga do the work. Commit to efforting less. Let go of any eye strain. Notice what happens when you ungrip the lower jaw, the fingers, the toes. And now sense yourself in relative stillness. This is an important principle of our Yin practice. And it's a form of impulse control to bypass that very natural urge to fidget away nervous tension. And just experience yourself in stillness and notice what happens. And then if you need to adjust something, if you need to move or scratch an itch, then you try to do that in slow motion, like a sloth. And you'll bring that languid quality into all of your transitions, the spaces between the postures themselves. Couple more breaths here in deer twist. Couple breath cycles to rise back up. And just so you know, we're moving to the belly. You might prefer to kind of swivel around and come right to your belly. If you want to join me seated first, keep some weight on that left side hip. Bring the legs around, shake off anything you need to shake, come belly down. Try to bring any props with you so they're in reach. That way, if you decide halfway through a pose you want a specific prop, you don't have to come out of the shape to grab it. Another stretch for the belly. Notice my arms are in L shapes. And if you look down, you should be able to see your hands, spread the fingers wide. Now, invite a deeper stretch through the belly region by energetically gliding the heels of the hands back toward the elbows and waistline. Lengthen your toe tips and breathe as normally as possible here. If this strains your low back, I have a couple suggestions. One is to tone the glutes a little more for support. Another is to take some padding, either a rolled blanket or cushions, underneath the front ribs. Okay. Instantly, there's less pressure on my shoulders and my back. So this is available to you at any time. Also really stimulating for digestion. And that solar plexus is the home of our internal fire, our ability to process, digest, and eliminate the unnecessary. I'll give you a few additional variation options. To activate the heart chakra, think about the heart center moving forward. A beautiful emerald green in your mind's eye. Now firm down equally through both forearms, and not just the elbow side or the heels of the hands, but the whole length Your arms are an extension of the heart center. Feel the chest brightening and bring into your consciousness someone, something, or a place that's easy for you to love. This could be a pet, a partner, somewhere in nature. And my friends who'd like to explore a little neck mobility to awaken the throat chakra, you can consider looking over your right shoulder. If you want more, bend your left knee. Stay for a few moments and see what's in your rear view here. So gaze back without hunching the shoulders. The chest is still moving forward brightly, and we'll come back to center, left leg down. Switch, look over your left shoulder. There's no cranking, it's just a gradual rotation. See what's in the back view there, probably different between the two sides as your neck mobility differs. Bend your right knee, but only if you can do that without complaints. And now train your eyes to wander less. Try to look at one spot, stick it. Don't look up, down, right, or left. Release your head and your neck. Release your right leg down. You can stay here or drop the chin to the chest and exhale. Inhale, stay, or lift the chin up. And either hold or repeat. Exhale, lower, all the way down. Nodding your head yes for a couple rounds. You might also like semicircles with the head, side to side. Do this without holding your breath and without clenching your teeth. Very important. Notice I'm not tracing a full circle with my head. You could, I just prefer not to. It doesn't feel so great in my body, especially here in Sphinx. And rest, just a couple breaths without necessarily doing anything. Our release is a child's pose. It should feel pretty awesome for the low back. Please take your time in transition. Hands down, chest up, knees go wide. Wide as feels comfortable for you. Add on any props you need for grounding or cushion. Some of us are going to throw a blanket over the low back for a little more weight. And bow your head. And bow your head so that the third eye connects to something. Something doesn't have to be your mat. It might be a block. And now sway your head a few times from side to side. And shaking your head no. And building awareness for the third eye center. Any tension build up in the forehead and brow. And specifically that spot that's just a smidge higher than mid-brow. If you find a spot that feels extra sensitive or tender, you might like to stay there or retrace a few times over that tricky spot. If something's too sensitive, skip it. Save it for another time. And this is your center of perception. Notice your state of mind. And consider reintroducing the intention that you identified at the top of class. Bring that into your mind's eye. Now, friends in child's pose, you may like to join me in a mudra, which is just basically body language with the hands. It's a hand seal or a hand gesture. So in your child's pose, or if you're back up seated, that's fine too. You'll make a triangle shape with the hands. And you can lay the palms on the mat, those of you in child's pose. The index fingertips connect and the thumb tips connect. In child's, this would be placed just a few inches away from the crown of the head. And this is the crown chakra mudra. I want you to envision a radiant white or violet light in that space that you've created, that triangle shape between your two hands. That radiant white or violet light gets brighter and bigger with each inhale, and eventually starts to emanate so profusely it radiates into your hands and up your arms to your shoulders, neck and throat, face and head, finally to reside at the crown. And stay here for 2 more leisurely breaths. We'll meet back seated, no rush. And sit however you're most comfy. Bring your right hand to your right shoulder and trace circles with the elbow to the back. You'll do a couple of these. Circle your right elbow to the front and explore your full range of motion, so don't be shy about making the biggest circle you can. And then do that on the other side. Bring the left hand to the left shoulder. Trace circles with your left elbow to the back. Think of this as a breathing exercise. The movement is secondary. After you circle the left elbow a couple times, reverse. And I'm going to demonstrate where we're going next. If you are newer to the practice or would like a refresher for snail, this is just the yin word for plow, please watch before you recline. So I'd rather you not be watching while you're in snail pose. It's not great for the neck. Coming onto my back, then I lift my legs, and many of us may stay right here in this extremely beneficial inversion called legs up the wall. My knees are unlocked, my ankles are soft, and immediately I feel a lightening up in the feet and circulation drawing down toward the hips and the belly. This is great if you spend long periods of time sitting or standing. It's also awesome to include in a bedtime ritual. So I'll show you where you might go if you have a healthy neck and are curious about snail. Notice my chin is centered. I exhale first. Using the arms to press down, lift the hips, and then the toes tap behind me. Maybe they reach the floor, not required. If my feet are well off the ground, I might bend my knees extra and support the low back with the hands, or support the sacrum with the hands. I just turn my head, but you're not going to do that. So if you want to join me in simple legs up the wall, start there with the hips down. You can always add on. And once you're in your snail pose, like 8 tiny sips, little breaths, not your deepest breath ever. It's an amazing stretch for the thoracic spine. There's weight on the shoulders, and there's some on the neck, so that's why it's important to keep the head quiet. And when you're ready to exit, you can use the arms like brakes. Again, bend your knees as much as you need. Think of this as core work, and lower like you're counting the vertebrae, one backbone at a time. And hug your knees and gather your shins. And turn your head a couple times in slow motion from side to side, massaging the back of the head and the scalp. And at this point, you might like to include one last shape like knee circles or a happy baby. It's a great way to tap into the inner leg a little more and the groins. Ideally, something that helps you to wind down and quiet the nervous system before our final relaxation. Feel for length through the back of the neck, wherever you are. And energy traveling all the way up to the crown of the head. An inner knowing that even though you're doing your own thing right now, we are all interconnected. When you're ready for final relaxation, spread out and sink down. This is the time to move anything you don't need aside, to locate blanket for warmth perhaps, and give yourself plenty of space. In Yin, this is called Pentacle Pose, because 5 points of contact radiate outward. The crown of the head, the 2 arms, the 2 legs, nice and wide. And get out any last wiggles, or if you sense that you could be even slightly more comfortable if you made a simple adjustment, make that essential adjustment now. And please close your eyes. And feel your eyes retreat away from the eyelids. And sense that your face is beaming. Relax the brow and third eye. Your cheeks and lower lip. There is a spaciousness through your inner mouth. Feel the shoulders relaxed and level. Arm bones heavy and the muscles of the arms super soft. The most peaceful shape in your palms. Relax your chest and belly. Relax your back. Relax your hips and seat, legs and feet. Take a fresh inhale to the top. Exhale, your whole body relaxes all together. Your whole body relaxed in the knowing that there is nothing left to do. We'll be here a few moments and I'll bring you out. Always welcome to extend Pentacle Pose or Shavasana, especially if you have the space in your schedule or could use some extra rest. And when you feel called to move along, invite a deeper breath than you have in a while. Sense that all of your body's cells are soaking up rich oxygen like a sponge absorbs water. And with each breath, you become more alert and ready for subtle movement. Wiggle awareness into your hands and your feet. Circle your ankles and your wrists. We'll meet in a full body stretch. It might feel good to sigh or yawn loudly. Inhale here, become your tallest self. Exhale, gather one and both knees. Roll to your right side, fetal position to lift your heart. Cradle your head on your bottom arm for a couple breaths. Completely focused on what you're doing. Now press down through your bottom arm and your top hand and join me in seated at your pace. Feel for length in the side bodies, a little more space between the lower ribs and the hips. Inhale, circle your arms up like mountain. Exhale, bring your hands to your heart center. Lift your chest proudly. Let's do it again. Join me. Inhale, reach up high as you can, like you want to touch the ceiling. And exhale, hands, heart. Last time to lift. Inhale, up, up. Exhale, rejoin the palms and lift your sternum into your thumb knuckles. Inhale, thumbs to third eye center. Exhale, we bow to the light in all beings. Namaste. My yogis, thank you so much for tuning in today. It was really fun, and I hope you enjoyed it as well. Keep tuning in to our Facebook Live because we have a rolling schedule of online classes here at Movement, and I hope to see you again soon. This is my Insta handle. My pleasure. Thanks for tuning in. It's at Caryn Florentine. I'm much more active on Insta than I am on Facebook, but I do have a Facebook page as well, and I hope I'll get to come back and teach here on the RiNo or the Baker page again really soon. I miss you. I am here for you. Let me know how you're doing, and stay well, stay healthy.